All right, everyone. It is Friday, and that means it is time for Stop Being the Best Kept Secret. I'm one of the co-hosts here. Can't remember what I'm supposed to say. Damon Pistolka, and that gentleman right over there, Kurt Anderson, is going to take it away. I'm going to get our names up here because we were getting ready to go. Weren't quite ready, but we're ready to go now. Thanks,
All right,
Kurt. Let's do it. We're going to be talking
Damon,
today about digital marketing strategy, focusing on business improvement and growth. Whoa, gee.
Damon, I'll just take it.
You just take it, dude.
You sit back, dude. You sit back.
I was going and couldn't stop.
You could.
Like a snowball rolling down the hill.
It was so better than a train wreck, right? It'd be better than All right, so hey, let's dive in. We've got DiAnn Beyer in the house. DiAnn, happy Friday to you. How are you?
I'm great. Happy Friday to you. What a great day to end the week with friends. I love it.
Absolutely. So just what a great day to have a great day. And repeat offender, you've been hanging out with us multiple times on the show. So just little introduction. You are a business improvement specialist. Damon, I tagged DiAnn the most rational human being that I've ever encountered. She's just an amazing, incredible wife, a wonderful mother, all sorts of new exciting things going on in her life. As a matter of fact, I think you have a new addition to the family that we might get into today. So DiAnn, tell everybody a little bit about yourself, please.
So I do work with manufacturers on improving their current conditions. I work with those who have lost sales and revenues, operating profits, and even lost employees due to trade. So, but today I'm more here as an industry advocate for the manufacturers of America.
Very passionate for manufacturers. Now, I've asked you this before. We're going to dive into it. Share a little bit in your background. Why are you so passionate about U.S. manufacturing?
So that's an excellent question, and it's kind of something that I wanted to advocate for manufacturers today. So I'll kind of skip ahead a little bit here. I think we as American manufacturers, those in the industry, don't realize what a pillar in our economy we are. I don't think we realize that, we participate and provide, I have my notes for the exact numbers, 2-point-something trillion dollars to our global domestic product.
Yeah.
If U.S. manufacturing wasn't important, we'd all be homesteading and making and we just don't appreciate the value that manufacturers bring to our world, to our jobs, to our homes, to our education. There isn't anything that we do in our lives that manufacturing doesn't touch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of those base industries that we need to keep in the U.S.
And I'm aware from being in my position that if we're not mindful about what we're doing in the industry, we could have things happen like what happened to the textile industry. Back in 1948, textiles were booming here in America. We were a leader. And then 1990s, with globalization, we allowed other countries to take over the industry. And now we only produce 2 to 3% of all textiles here in the United States, which puts us on a very big disadvantage. Yeah. And we saw that right in COVID. I find it interesting that we're talking today because this is the 6-year anniversary of COVID. And when I feel that there's been a huge shift in our manufacturing industry, COVID kind of gave us some glimpses to supply demand. And if you were paying attention, the chips, a lot of our chips were being made overseas, and we were kind of stuck here, and that's developed into the CHIP Act. And it kind of brought awareness to us and to some of us in the industry of how important it is to be producing things here globally. If we're not paying attention, our global competitors can come in and steal market share and eventually could take over segments of our industries. So yes, I'm here as an advocate today.
Just a little bit of an advocate. And so you've had a fascinating journey. You went from accounting to, like, in my humble opinion, and I know you're very humble, so you won't, I'm going to say it for you, because you've become an incredibly astute marketer and really taken a deep dive and understanding, like, and it's all about, when you strip it back, it's like two things. It's like, it's the psychology of the buying process, but really it's relationships. And you are the, if I can say, queen, the authority of just like really doing vast networking, building those relationships. Just talk a little bit about your journey, your transition, going from like fierce accounting side of things to like what really tugged you over onto the marketing side of things.
So I'm a numbers person, okay? And that's one of the things I want to advocate for manufacturers now. You need to know your numbers. You need to know what your numbers speak to you. Mm-hmm. I can read somebody's financial statements and see what the story tells me. If you can't look at your financials and understand, you need somebody in your circle who can. My full circle story is I started out in manufacturing, working for manufacturers and working their financials and understanding what the numbers meant, that I could communicate with the presidents, the owners, and say, here's where we're trending, here's where we're going, these are the. I then moved into my current position, and I work with those who have been struggling and impacted by foreign trade, and who are, some are desperate not to fold. Like, it depends on where they are in their journey of decline when we work with them. But in that process, right, throughout all of it, there's been this trend of what happens when there's a decline. When our sales decline, when our normal go-tos, or our historical go-tos, I should say, have been cut the fat, trim the expenses, lead generate. So there's always been that importance of lead generate. The other part of it is, and we say this all the time when we're talking about your digital marketing team, know your soulmate, know your customer. And you not only need to know your customer, but you need to know how their world is evolving and changing. And I brought up COVID as an example. Industry has changed in the last 6 years because of COVID. But we also have generational changes. Who are our customers currently right now? We have some who are boomers, who have grown up with a phone on the wall and have to talk to people, make phone calls. We have others, like my children, who learn to text with their hand in their sweatshirt and text without even seeing what they're saying to their friends while they're sitting in class. The environment we grew up in, with being pre-computer, pocket phone, takes a generational shift, and we need to account for those underlying consumer issues. And I've got a fabulous story to get into the digital marketing and why that's part of the key. This weekend, I have a car lease coming due that I need to turn in May. So a couple weeks ago, I decided I'm going to be proactive with this. I'm going to start figuring out if I'm going to buy it out or if I'm going to trade it in, get a new lease, what am I going to do? And what did I do? I got on my computer, I typed in best lease deals because I decided I wanted another lease. March 2026. I even chat GPT'd it to see what would come up. All right. In doing that search, I got 2 in New Jersey dealerships that came up, 4 in Pennsylvania, 4 in the surrounding Philadelphia area, including 1 in Philadelphia and 1 in Allentown. And up came their chat box. I had already seen a good deal, and I typed in the chat box of all of them, looking for the best lease deal on make and model. Best deal wins. I'm looking to take delivery Saturday. That's all I did. Phone starts ringing off the hook. Text messages start coming in. Emails start coming in. And I declined the calls. Dealt with the text messages because I too have a job I'm working and family I'm taking care of. Time is money. Started 3 local to me. Pushed for me to come into the store. Didn't want to give me numbers. One in Jersey completely sent automated messages and never followed up. And then they just died off when I didn't respond. The other one in New Jersey sent me stripped down base model, no,
Yeah.
Bells and whistles.
yeah, options on it, and in a lime green color. Now, I'm not ditching anybody who loves lime green. I'm not a lime green run around town, everybody looking at me. I want to be, and I had already sent the colors. Long story short, one of the dealers was the one that I had originally missed from. That one put me in a spiral loop of going from one customer care person to another business development person to another, and never took me out of this loop. It was almost like there was a competition between three people trying to get me in the door. I took delivery Saturday from the Allentown location.
Oh, did you?
The Allentown location sent me through email and through text an actual offer that beat the deal I gave them with more options on the car. Listened to me as a customer and realized it. And that's one of the things, like, know your soulmate. And one of the things I'm saying about know your foundation of where your soulmate's coming from. Well, do we want less for more money, as in the New Jersey dealer, or do we want more for less, as in the Allentown? I get an upgrade to my current one, paying less money. And then when I got into the finance office, I was sitting signing the papers, and I looked at the finance manager and I said, how many times have you sold a car without the person ever seeing it, touching it, or driving it? He went, you haven't seen the car yet? I saw it online. I saw the stock number. I did my research. But know your customers. Now, okay, DiAnn, this is a car, purchase car. How does this apply to manufacturing? How does it apply to digital marketing? What have we been saying? Know your customer. Those who stayed in the BDC center and customer care and trying to get me to come in and waste my time looking at cars that I already know, doesn't know time is important to me.
Yeah.
They're lost in their own process. Kurt, you're going to love this. One of the ones local to me just kept sending me dittos and flyers of how they're the best. And I thought of you about wee syndrome. We are the best. You got to do it for us. You got to come and see us. Come to our showroom because we will give you free tires for life. We'll give you free tire. We're the best. We're the best. I'm like, you never addressed my issue on numbers. The other thing, what am I always advocating to our manufacturers? I always say, if you are not coming up on a Google search, you're not even competing. What happened? I got on, I researched best car leases in March. I got 7 hits, 5 from Pennsylvania. There are over 1,000 car dealers in Pennsylvania. 5 came up.
Yeah.
If you are not having a website, and we discussed the generation that likes to text and not talk to people, that is now currently flooding our markets and our industries and in position of making purchasing decisions. What did I do? I used the chat boxes on the website. If you don't have a way to communicate with your client, and we've said this before, at 3 a.m. when they're up with the baby, you're losing business. Now, as an accountant, let me pull this in for you, right? As an accountant, when we start losing sales, like I said, we start looking at trimming the fat, getting rid of expenses, looking ways to lead generate. But we should be thinking outside those boxes, outside the boxes. How can I expand my hours to get to the people who need to be dealing with me outside? Have your website able to handle the influx. Right there, you can open up your revenue streams just by being online. It's not a new person, but it's a salesperson that you don't have to pay 24/7. Have them be able to get a quote. I made it clear I wasn't going into any location without an actual quote. Be able to quote people. Be able to have them purchase online. If I understand now, I haven't dealt with Carvana. But
Mhm.
Carvana is moving the needle in that industry to
Yeah.
purchase online, never see the car, and have it.
Yep.
If the finance manager heard me and was listening, and I said I came in and I bought without even testing, driving, or touching the vehicle, there's a new revenue stream. Make it easy online for you to buy a car like Carvana, because guess what? Carvana is doing that, and that is your competitor. So
Mm-hmm.
you also need to be aware of what your competitor is doing and outperform. Make sense?
Hey,
Yeah.
It's
But
huge.
phenomenal story. You know what? They always say, I've been big on this line. Facts tell, stories sell. Like that is a powerful, perfect example. I just had a conversation this morning, something very similar. Damon, I know you're constantly talking about like removing the friction. What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on DiAnn's experience?
Yeah, I love the example because you were ready to walk in, sign the papers, and buy.
Right.
And the other and so this is not I'm coming in to look and maybe
Yeah.
make a choice and all that. So I just need I give me the bottom line, let me know, and I'll come in and take
Right.
care of it if we're ready to go. And that's like if you can't do that in an industry, like the faster you can do it, the better. Almost as Kurt likes to say with a quote generator or something like that. I mean, you can go to
Right.
one of the big car sites, you can get your price right there if you want to, and get things like that. That speed means additional revenue
Mhm.
because there are some people that will not want to come in and look at it. They want to sign the line and have it show up like Carvana,
Mhm.
or they want to walk in, sign it, get
Right.
out. They don't want to look at 100 different vehicles. That one they know is just fine. And
right. And I'm going to beat Kurt to the punch. I know he's going to ask me what's the best business advice I ever got, and I'm going to throw it in right here. One of and I don't know that there's a best. I have many, but one of the things my father used to say to me is time is money. Don't waste yours. Don't waste your clients, and don't allow anyone to waste yours. And that is knowing your customer, right?
yeah,
That's the foundation of, I don't, on top of knowing, he's a director, he's the CEO, and specifics to their business, you need to know the foundation. The foundation is our clients are changing due to technology. There's a good majority who want to be, not talking face to face. They are living in the fear of missing out. They have other things that are important to them
yep,
than sitting 6 hours in a dealership, driving every car on the lot to then have that puppy dog. Oh, I fell in love with this one. No, like they're educated. They're researching online. Where are they? They're online. You know, I don't know that I hit any dealers over the past week that are advertising on TV, but I know there's about 1,000 of them that didn't even get me to even look at their inventory because they didn't come up in the search. And that's what I have been standing on the mountaintop saying, it's no longer just cut the fat and increase leads. It's looking at how we can really build sales and partnerships and business and the industry. We have some issues coming up. We have AI coming in. Those who are jumping on that are going to move faster than those who are resistant to it. You both know I've said we have three types of manufacturers. The proactive one who's staying on top of technology and new changes in the environment, how our customers are now buying. We have the reactive who waits until sales decline to make the changes. And then we have the status quo who stays consistent with this is what we've always done. We've been doing this since 1950s and mop put on your apron, right? Like, but I'm going to be standing with warning signs. It is time for all of us in manufacturing industry to start all being proactive. There's been a lot of changes. One of the things I'm going to say is start tracking your sales. Start tracking like CHIPS Act and the CHIPS issue and our supply chain issues back with COVID 6 years ago should have woke us up. We need to look at where global competition is. I would absolutely recommend to every manufacturer, you should be looking at your financials monthly. I know some manufacturers who don't even look at them for 3 months because they allow it to take 3 months to formalize them. And I know they don't know how to read them. Know your ratios, your debt to equity, your current assets. Know, your sales decline month over month or your sales improvement. Track your tariffs, how costs have increased over time. These numbers tell stories. Your numbers and financials speak volumes. If you don't know how they speak, get in touch with somebody like myself who can translate for you. One of the things I think manufacturers should be doing are not only being proactive, but to have their senators and their representatives, not only the representative where their business is, but where they live on speed dial. Because I told Kurt a couple months ago, change is going to come from the manufacturing industry. The changes that are currently happening, everybody's talking about how life is changing in our world right now and how things are expensive at the kitchen table. But the average consumer has a small voice in our government and in making policy changes. But the manufacturing industry, a pillar in our economy, with you having the right story and saying, hey, this is what happened and this is how I've been impacted and this is what's changing and this is where we need to be focused. That's a strong story. Mm-hmm. And I'm not saying good or bad. Like, you guys have the numbers. If tariffs have increased your sales, that's a huge story to stand on. If they've declined sales, that's a story. Another thing I would suggest to manufacturers is we don't realize we're in a global marketplace. And it's a shame because we should be standing on what happened to the textile industry in the 1990s with the trade impacts there. We do need to realize my story I drove an hour to Allentown to get the best deal. That represents your sales going overseas because of best deal. People will go further, people will travel, people will deal with those who are going to work with you. That's global competition. I do need to give a shout out to my MEPs and the SBAs, manufacturing extension partners. If you are a manufacturer and you don't know them, get to know them. We've lost over 200 really talented people from the MEPs. You need to make those connections. We need to collaborate and come together proactively as an industry.
Right.
Yeah, they're doing a great job. And I come back again to what you said about you did a Google search. I mean, these are basic things, right? If you today have not searched to see if you come up from somebody else's computer that hasn't searched you before, you're missing out. Or go incognito and do it, because if you're not showing up, you're dead to the world. I actually did a post about that. You're invisible to the world. I think it was yesterday or day before, just because if you can't be found,
right,
you're only as known as the people you talk to then, or the people you're doing business with.
Absolutely. And what did I say? I said I Googled best lease deals March 2026. If I, we need to know what the manufacturers say, but if I was a dealer, I would be posting a blog to my website every month. Best lease deal May 26th, and best purchase deal May. Right. And I would be running things to come up. I would understand what the blogs are, and I would make sure, because here's the thing, that out of the box thinking I'm talking about, it's not just lead generation anymore. It's not just having more numbers in your contact list to get. It is finding new ways to do business. One of the things I'd suggest, know a contact in U.S. commercial services and learn about exporting your product. Right?
Yeah.
How do we make better sales? It's not always lead generation, but if you're coming up in searches and I'm promoting you to get your digital marketing plan together, and I'm saying get your website where it's not complicated I'll be honest with you, there was an eighth dealer that came up. Their website was so difficult to go through. I clicked off. You need business is global, business is online, business is your website. If your website's not performing, you are losing. End of story. We're a global market. Getting online, making it easier for a customer, know how they're working and dealing and making connections. But this expanding sales is then also be prepared to do global markets and do exports.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is how we're going to build businesses and improve sales.
Yeah. Hey, and Damon, we got a couple of comments. I think there's a question here that might be a good one for DiAnn.
Let's see here. Let's see right here. Hello, good to see you. One question. I love your thoughts on how do you prioritize between short-term performance, i.e. leads and sales, and long-term brand building when working within limited budgets?
That's an awesome question. Thank you, Ashib.
Yeah, it's a great question because I think everybody lives in this world, right? Mm-hmm. I got to play with somebody this week about that, playing by going, what if you had every bit of money you wanted to do it, but in the real world.
So, my first thoughts with limited budgets, right? If you're blogging, you can have someone in-house blogging for you, and the blog is going to generate you coming up in search, right? There's very little cost to that if you're doing it yourself. You can also work with a partner. That's huge, right? And I think if I'm understanding the correct, there is also relationship building, right? Short-term leads, it's that knowing your customer relationship. Mm-hmm. You can have short-term sales and have a sales, but if you're not working the whole process for your customer, if you're not doing the quality assurance and you're not taking the pressure, the difficulties off their back, they're one-hit wonder. Okay. Building relationships, making it easy for them to do business with you, putting on your website a quoting process, a purchasing process. They can just get on and do it and handle it and have stuff shipped and have that confidence that you're there. You are dealing with repeat sales then.
Yeah.
And I always advocate you want to be building those relationships where you're not just a one-hit wonder and they're moving on to the next. Mm-hmm. You want to establish that relationship.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I think, any questions that you guys have, drop that in the chat box. We'd be happy to pull up any questions. We've got DiAnn Beyer here today, growth specialist, business improvement expert. So please drop your comments, drop any questions. We'd be happy to pull those up. And so, DiAnn, you do an amazing job of let's talk a little bit further about like understanding that customer. So let's talk to that manufacturer out there. They're a CNC shop, they do circuit boards, whatever it is that they make. And unfortunately, they're just kind of like, oh, well, we can CNC for anybody, everybody. We can make circuit boards for anybody. But then when you talk to them long enough, they're like, oh, well, 70% of our business is in auto, or 80% of our business is in pharma. How do you help that person kind of like dive in and like understand like they're really in a niche and they just don't necessarily realize it?
So I'm more of a different approach than niching down on specific products. Mm-hmm. I try to help them see where we can improve our situation to make things better financially. Mm-hmm. But on the knowing your customer, niching down, I will say I have worked with manufacturers who like lead generating, right? Mm-hmm. Let's say they make a cup and they sit there and go, sales are down, we have to improve. So let's make a lid for the cup. Let's make a straw for a cup. And they start No, you don't want to spiral out into new territories. And so you want to niche down and you want to talk to those people, to your customers who do those specific. So in what I've learned in digital marketing You want to be talking on your website with your blogs about how you work for, let's say, if you're doing widgets for automobile industry, you want to have content specific to the automobile industry, so that when somebody is researching that particular service or product, you're coming up. You're the expert.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Damon, any thoughts that you want to add to that?
I just think if you're not niching down in manufacturing, like you say, we talked to lots of manufacturers that are doing contract work, and even other kind of that have product lines, right? If you don't focus in on the industry where you're the best, you can't do what DiAnn is saying, because if I'm building blades that could be used for dirt or more likely used for snow removal, and I'm writing the blade, well, you can go out and push dirt and move, whatever. But if most of my sales comes from snow removal, we should be talking about why this blade was designed this way, or challenges in snow removal, and how products can be designed to do that. Then you go, okay, who's visiting our website? Well, if I'm writing about everybody, you don't know who it is. But if I'm writing about this person, we talk about this a lot, Kurt, when you really know, and DiAnn was saying it about the soulmate, who that is, you're speaking to them. Who's going to be there? If I'm saying, hey, in the commercial snow removal business, there's two things that really are a big difference in the industry, and you're educating them, talking about things. You don't have to worry about who's coming to your website looking at your stuff, because if I'm looking for a snow blower, I'm not going to come to your site, because I'm for my house. There's so many different ways to do that, and people get that I'm going to miss some sales if I don't try to talk to everybody. But it makes it so much harder to figure out, well, what are we really trying to do? Because the leads you get are often kind of, you scratch your head, you have that call, you scratch that head and go, oh, I guess we could be construed doing that.
So I'm going to jump in here, because I come to this as an accountant first, and I come to this as numbers speak. And I come into manufacturers when they're looking to improve their numbers and sales have declined, right? So I'm not front line on the digital marketing with them, or front line on that. Where I'm going to see things is, I'm going to look at the numbers telling me a story, and I can sit here and say, okay, look at your debt to asset ratios. And if your debt to asset ratios are high and you're starting to become underwater, you're spending money, or rather you're borrowing money to do things in your business, and you need to fix something else. And that's kind of where I've seen, like, for example, a cup manufacturer goes into making straws, and then bigger cups, and then cup holders and cup caddies, and starts, borrowing money to make all these things to try to make more sales. And that's where I'm saying, from the accountant side of it, look for where your numbers speak to you, and where they start skewing off normal. That's going to say, hey, wait a minute, I have a problem. Let me look back at what I'm doing. And that, if you know how to speak numbers, that's going to pull you back to, let me niche down. So I come from the opposite side most of the time, but that's where I also say, and Kurt knows this is one of my favorite sayings, it's my motto, my mantra, we are better together. You always need to have your circle of friends and your circle of experts. That's where I sit there and say, hey, this is where we need to pull in a digital marketing expert. This is where you need to be focused on getting that information out there. You are a snow removal blade person. Stick in that lane. Let's put our money and focus there. Let's trim the fat out here. Let's focus on these customers. So this is where digital marketing and accounting come together and meet. And this is where, as an advocate for the manufacturing, I always say, listen, the owners of the businesses and manufacturers I work with, the presidents of the company, you know your product. That is what you are an expert at. You're not always an expert in finances or taxes or reading the financial statements. Get people in for digital marketing that can help you build those processes. And that's going back to my story, the car dealer, the one who constantly had me in a loop of the business development center, customer care support. you're lost in that cycle of I need to generate leads, and you're not stopping your process and realizing this is not effective. Because if you were looking at your numbers, if you were tracking your numbers, you would see maybe you had 480 website hits that month, and 2 came in through the door. That's where it's going to show you something's not working. That's where I say numbers talk to us. Now, if you have 480 hits on your website and 375 came in, or 420, you know your process is working.
Right. So let's go here. So Damon and I did a little fun webinar this week for a trade association, had a great time geeking out. And DiAnn, we were posed a question that I'm going to throw at you. And at the end of our session, we were posed this question. They said, all right, Kurt, Damon, for the manufacturer out there that just, maybe I just had a call this morning. Marketing was just not a priority. God bless them. They've been busy. It was funny. I was thinking, 1950s, they've been busy crushing it where they didn't need the website. They didn't need this social media thing, all the things, right? So for our friend out there who maybe they feel a little bit behind the curve, website's not where it needs to be. The question that we're asked, what would you advise them? What for that person that's just starting, where should they start? Where's the beginning line of kind of getting into this digital marketing journey where I can just see and I won't even say momentum, but I'm getting off the sidelines onto the field. I'm going to get a little bit dirty, throw some blocks, get hit. But where should they start in your opinion?
So first, from an accounting perspective, where I said the old way of doing business is we were cutting and trimming the fat. We were getting rid of the expenses. One of the things that always got cut was marketing.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because we couldn't see the benefit of it. Right? We're hiring salespeople. I have somebody to do that for me. There's that mindset of it wasn't important. And then can I plug? Can I plug? I'm sorry for everybody viewing, but I'm going to plug here. I absolutely love your digital game plan. And I think it's huge because I've worked with you with it. I see the benefits of it. I love how you streamline and show what's working on a website, what needs to be enhanced, and what's missing. I have experienced both professionally within my own organization and working with other organizations where we hire a website designer or somebody and there's a disconnect with the conversation and they're trying to find out what we want and need and we're trying to rely on them on an expert. One of the things I love about your digital game plan with those 3 columns of this is what's working, this is what needs to be fixed, and this is what you're missing entirely. It gives a blueprint that everybody understands. It creates a conversation that both parties can come to an understanding each side. And I think that's so critical right now because I think that's where manufacturers are, right? They know they need digital marketing. They know they need a good website. They know they need to maybe have e-commerce or quote capabilities on the website. But that's not where we're experts in. We're experts in making widgets. And that's where I say, get your circle of experts. We are better together. No man is an island and no man should be an island. If we want to be successful, we must work together and collaborate, work on the problems, have the difficult discussions, have the hold the mirror moments, hit the bullseye, and do it together.
Yeah, I tell you, Damon, so I'm gonna throw a plug right back at you. Having a friend, professional colleague like DiAnn Beyer, it's and you know what? And I'm not great at this because I want to be like Mr. Nice Guy and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings. But DiAnn has a gift and it is a blessing, and I can express my gratitude from the bottom of my heart. Where DiAnn tells you, she holds up the mirror, like, hey, you've got food in your teeth, you got this, but she does a phenomenal job. You never get better by just praises and compliments, right? You only do better when you acknowledge hey, where are my deficits? Where are my flaws, my faults? How can we improve?
So, and I'm just going to tag on that, right? If I'm a business improvement specialist and I'm supposed to be helping you with your problems, I can't put solutions in place if we only know the tip of the iceberg of problems, because you don't want to tell me the deep, dark, ugly, and what's hidden behind the surface, below the surface with the iceberg. I need to know the whole. We have to have the difficult discussions without any emotions with it. It's not a fault thing, or it's where we are. And so, like, I'll take it above the industry right now, manufacturing industry. We have a big problem, and we need to work it together, and we have to be direct about it. We are facing a 2 million job position openings coming in the future that will be unfulfilled. That will drastically impact American families. We need to be working on it today, because what we do today creates the future for tomorrow. We have to stand together and fix this. We as a collective manufacturing industry need to move to working with teachers, mentoring programs, big brothers, big sisters, anywhere where we can start pulling in talent for our manufacturing industry.
Right.
You can't fix put solutions in place if we don't fully understand the problems. And I can't be a problem solver if I don't tell you where I see the problems.
That's right. Yeah. Damon, what are your thoughts on like that tough love advice? What
I think it's great. And you know, if you really want to get better, you need that, right? You need that. And then you need to absorb it and make the change, move forward.
That's right.
It is.
I try to look at it as a coach, you know, like, and it was very profound to me. My daughter was playing softball. She was middle school. She had a friend on the team who was a home run hitter. Coach, you know, she went to the coach and she wanted to be a home run hitter. And the coach said, hey, listen, you're never going to be a home run hitter, but you don't need to be. That's not your niche. Your niche is getting on base. So let me help you get on base. And you can't score if you're not on base, because, you know, so let me teach you slap bunt. Let me teach you drop bunt. Let me teach you this. And, you know, she was very frustrated at the beginning when he started saying that, and he mentored her and coached her. And looking back, he is the reason she got to play college softball.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Where her home run hitter stopped playing in high school.
Right.
And that's kind of the thing. We need to assess where we are, look for where we can improve, move in those directions, layer that learning and growth in. That brings us to success.
Yeah, that is a spot on. You know, I always say life is baseball, softball, right? Like every analogy in life,
it comes back to that.
I always feel like you can pull back to baseball, but you think about that, and to your daughter's credit, like, you know, hey, she wanted to be better, she wanted to do her best, and so she's thinking, I want to be a home run hitter. So for our manufacturers out there, I think, you know, I can do CNC machining for anybody or everybody or whatever it might be, as opposed to focusing on our core strengths. So now you go up to the plate and like, man, I'm gonna put this one out there, and you pop up, you fly out, you strike out, and now you're frustrated, now you're mad, and maybe your daughter doesn't keep playing because if there was a coach that said, yes, let's make you that home run hitter, and it just was never gonna come about. And now instead she embraces her core strengths, her superpowers, and goes on to college. That's a drop the mic, phenomenal story right there, DiAnn.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have to play to our strengths.
Play to your core strengths.
And that goes back to where I say, have your circle of experts, because we are not a master of everything. Yeah. And that goes internally within our business. You know, you're not just going to know, you know, your product line, but maybe human resources out of your scope, or financial, or digital marketing. You know, there's a lot that goes into our individual businesses, and that we need support with our experts there. There's support we need on the higher level in industry. You know, that's why building relationships, being there, being able to have the difficult discussion, mentoring, coaching, it's, you know, it comes back to what I'm always saying. We are better together. If you've got a problem that you're not figuring out yourself, it's time to call in somebody who can help you get there.
That's right. Get that relief pitcher in there. So we'll start winding down. I know everybody, you're super busy, DiAnn, helping people grow their businesses. I have a couple of questions left for you from a LinkedIn standpoint. So like, you know, maybe in a previous life or previous role, maybe social media wasn't a super top priority for you. you've really come in and embraced LinkedIn. It's been a huge part of your professional life. It's converted into wonderful relationships. You're a fierce networker. I've made wonderful friends through you. We've shared our communities with each other.
Mhm.
Talk a little bit for our friend out there, that manufacturer, when we're talking about like what's a starting point. What has LinkedIn done for you personally?
Oh, LinkedIn has opened up a whole new world for me. And it has taken me from one platform to another. Talk about building communities, building people, relationships. And I will say, LinkedIn is another place where people do business. I was able, through LinkedIn connections, with my current position. So my current position, real quick, is just a government program. I shouldn't say just is a government program that needs to work with manufacturers who are negatively impacted with foreign trade. For us, and we've been in existence for over 50 years, and people don't know who we are. We're not a home run name. We're not well known. So getting people in the door when I started working here 6 years ago would take 8 to 12 soft touches, a huge focus on outreach and lead generation, and we were really spinning our wheels trying to get our name out there. It's kind of how you and I connected, because I Google search "stop being best kept secret," you know. But in my connections with LinkedIn and people understanding what I do, we were able to have people find us. And that's a whole game changer.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I'm saying. And that's why I've been such a big advocate for digital marketing, right? It's so hard for us to forward out and say, let me find the customer who needs me now, and find that, take that from a lead prospect to a lead and pull that customer in. It is such a better place for somebody who needs us to find us. And LinkedIn has been that for me. So, use the social media, let people find you. It's no good to find a customer 6 months after they found another solution.
Yeah.
Oh, you should have been here last December. We needed our pipes fixed then. We needed a new floor then. We needed the widgets you're making, and we got a new supplier.
Right.
No, you want, so which would you rather? Somebody picking up the phone and calling you and saying, hey, I need you now. What can you do to help me? Or spending all this time and energy touching people 8 to 12 times and saying, hey, we're here. Can we help you? Can we help you? Can we help you? Call us when you need us. No, LinkedIn's been that for me. It's been able to build a relationship with people, grow my experts circle, grow my circle of friends, have people, hey, you know what, you have that problem, I know who to, let me introduce you.
Yep.
It is important.
Total game changer. As a matter of fact, Damon, you and I just had our 6-year anniversary this week when we first connected. He connected on my wife's birthday, I think in 2020, right when the world was collapsing in COVID. And so we just celebrated. DiAnn, we go back a number of years. I can tell you exactly where I was the first day you and I connected on the phone. And we've just been fast friends ever since, and collaborated, done business together. And so what an absolute honor, privilege. Damon, what for our friends out there, maybe new to LinkedIn, what are your, you're on LinkedIn once in a while, right?
A little bit. Yeah. It as DiAnn says, you meet so many great people. First of all, just great people, just meeting good humans. Yeah. I'll just start there, because it is so cool, because you don't realize how many people are out there doing good things until you get out. And LinkedIn's a place where you see a lot of people. Some may be active on LinkedIn, some not so active, but people are out there trying to do good stuff. And then, as DiAnn says, when you come into a challenge and you're like, I don't know how to solve something like this, it's not my deal. But I've talked to 3 people, 5 people, whatever, that might know somebody, or they are the person or the company, have the company to do it. That's the real power in building those people around us with the specialized skills. And you don't have to be an expert in business. You just need to know the right people to help you.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Let's we're gonna wind down on this, DiAnn, if you don't mind. And I don't know if it's a little curveball or not, but and I'm not sure how this one's gonna go. But the relationship, Damon and I are huge girl dads. You had you know where I'm gonna go. You had a wonderful, wonderful relationship with your father. And I almost feel like he's mentored me. You've shared so many brilliant pieces of advice and like how he built his business. And he had such a huge influence on you and your career, you as a mom, you professionally, so on and so forth. Share for folks out there, share a little bit about something from your dad that would just be a golden nugget for our friends out there that they could take away today. Anything that you could share from wisdom from dad?
Sure. Well, first of all, he's hanging on that picture up there. I keep him with me all the time. We lost my dad last May to a tragic fall. So those of you who have seniors in your family, be aware that falls can be deadly. But my first immediate thought when you asked me that, coming off LinkedIn, is my dad always used to say, it's not what you know, it's who you know. And, you know, I think he'd be very proud about how I always talk about circle of friends and experts. Have your circle. Don't be an island. That was kind of my father. He was always building. It was important for him. It was, you know, I remember as a child, he would say, it's not the man who dies with the most money in his pocket. It's the one who dies with the most friends.
Yeah.
And
good stuff.
so, you know, and to your point, Damon, yeah, there's a lot of really great people in this world. And it is those of us who are blessed who get to meet a new person every day and just add to that circle. That was Dad. He just, you know, and I think a lot of his success was because he knew how to network and do things before the internet and put people together and say, oh, you need that. Here's this. Well, I'm looking for that and pull it. You know, he grew up in Fountain Hill in the Bethlehem area. That was a small community where everybody knew everybody, where it was filled with a lot of family on almost every block, and neighbors were friends and friends were family that God allowed us to choose, right? And everybody was important just because they were part of the community.
Yeah.
And I think that's, man, if we could get back to that, could you imagine what we could create if we could just have that mindset, how important we all are just because we're here together.
Be unstoppable. And I'll tell you, your dad was like, he was a great quarterback, meaning, you know, like he always had a guy or a gal in his pocket, and
someone
that
could
made
help
him, you know, I love the way you described like his humility, but he always knew somebody. He was like, you know, I'm not necessarily going to be the smartest guy in the room, but I'm going to find the smartest person for you to help solve that problem. And what just a servant leader is the term that I think of when you describe your dad. So good stuff here. Damon, takeaways, thoughts on our wonderful conversation with our dear friend DiAnn Beyer.
Been great catching up with you, DiAnn. So powerful, and thank you.
You're welcome. So I gotta ask you, you're not gonna ask me what my walk-up song is?
I am. So, all right. So for anybody out there that is not familiar, we love closing out with a walk-up song. Damon's big Mariners. DiAnn is a huge Phillies fan in Philadelphia. DiAnn, if you're walking up to the plate to hit in the winning run, my friend, what is your walk-up song?
So I'm going to answer it this way. Ready? My first time on your show, I said it was Center Field by John Fogerty.
Good choice.
Put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. And then the second time I was on, I said, Here Comes the Sun by the Beatles. And so I'm going to give you a walk-up trifecta. Today I'm going to add Hit Me With Your Best Shot by Pat Benatar. Here's the cycle that we are working on. You're going to get hit with things that are going to be hard and difficult, but we're going to get in the game and play together as a team and put each other in center field. And we end up winning with Here Comes the Sun, making tomorrow a better day by what we do today together.
drop the mic, you know, Pat Benatar for anybody out there, like
Yep.
anybody born after a certain age, you might like, who's Pat Benatar? Google her and play. As a matter of fact, I'm going to pop on Pat Benatar after we get off the call. So,
Yeah.
All right, guys, let's wind down. And all right, first off, DiAnn Beyer, thank you, my friend. We appreciate you. We applaud you. We salute you. Anybody out there, best way to reach you, DiAnn? LinkedIn.
LinkedIn.
Do yourself a favor, connect with DiAnn on LinkedIn. As you can tell, she's an absolute powerhouse. And if you've been hanging out with us for this entire time, how about, why don't you stand up and give a little standing ovation, big round of applause for DiAnn Beyer for words of wisdom, her brilliance, her passion, her expertise, and all of the above. And do me one last favor. Just go out there and be someone's inspiration, just like our dear friend DiAnn, and you too can make the world a better place. Damon, why don't you close us out, my friend?
DiAnn, thank you for being here today. It was awesome getting to talk with you, learn from you as always. I want to thank then everyone else that showed up that were asking the great questions too. That was awesome. We had some good questions today, and it's always appreciated. But you know, as Kurt said, go out and be special, do your thing. And you said, DiAnn, we're better together. Thank you so much.
Thank
we'll
you.
Be
Guys.
back again.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
We'll be back again next week. Have a great weekend.